The Undead Mr. Tenpenny by Tammie Painter is the first book in the Cassie Black trilogy, a mix of urban fantasy, humor, and mystery. The story follows Cassie Black, a funeral home employee with a knack for communicating with the dead. When she accidentally inherits a mysterious magical business from the late Mr. Tenpenny, she is thrust into a world of supernatural dangers, mischievous spirits, and an ominous organization that wants her powers. With a talking cat, a snarky attitude, and a knack for getting into trouble, Cassie must uncover secrets about her inheritance before the forces against her close in. Tammie Painter isn't the greatest writer in the world, but I don't know, there's just something about her. I keep buying her books. I bought the Asteria Chronicles books, and I bought several of those, and those are basically alternate takes on Greek mythology. And I also bought a book of her short stories. And so I just figured I'd give her another try and see if I like the Undead Mr. Tenpenny, which probably is going to have a little bit more of a humorous flair than her other books. In the Pericles Commission by Corby, set in 461 BC Athens, a young investigator, Nikolaos, is tasked by the politician Pericles to find the assassin of Ephialtes, the leader who brought democracy to the city. With Athens in turmoil and democracy at risk, Nico navigates the dangerous streets, aided sometimes annoyingly by his precocious 12-year-old brother Socrates. As witnesses keep turning up dead, he must solve the case while also pursuing the sharp-witted priestess Diotima. Can he catch the killer, protect democracy, and stay out of trouble with both the gods and the city guard? In Sacred Games by Corby is 460 BC at the Olympics, and Nico's best friend Timodemus is accused of murdering his only real rival, the Spartan fighter Arachos. With execution set for 4 days after the games, Nico and the sharp-witted priestess Diotima must race against time to prove his innocence. Meanwhile, tensions between Athens and Sparta are already high, and if an Athenian is found guilty of cheating through murder, it could ignite a war Athens can't afford to fight. The stakes are high as Nico and Diotima work to uncover the real killer and prevent catastrophe. I got Sacred Games by Corby when I did an overview of Soho books, and I'm starting to find out that historical fiction and mythological fiction, although I am pretty much mythological fiction is kind of a misnomer. All mythology is fiction, but I digress. I'm starting to find out that I really like historical fiction. I really like alternate takes on mythology. So when I saw these detective stories set in ancient Greece, I figured I'd give it a try with Soho books, but the only one that I could get off of Soho books that was DRM free was the third book. And so I had to actually go and buy the first book because I want to read the first book to see if I want to keep going with the series. And I had to actually get that with DRM on ebooks.com. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson follows Yumi, a spirit-summoning girl bound by strict traditions, and Painter, an artist tasked with battling nightmares in a dark city. Through a mysterious connection, they swap bodies and must navigate each other's worlds, uncovering hidden truths about their societies and themselves. Blending romance, mystery, and magic, the story explores themes of identity, duty, and self-discovery. I bought this book when I was doing the quick overview of Brandon Sanderson's site. It was one of his books that was DRM free, had a very, very cool cover, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And now for the books I read in March. A Certain Hunger by Chelsea Summers is about a food critic named Dorothy Daniels who loves good food, sex, and secretly killing and eating her lovers. She's smart, confident, and completely unapologetic about her gruesome appetite. The book is told from her point of view as she looks back on her crimes with humor and sharp wit. It's a dark and twisted story about hunger, power, and desire, with plenty of shocking moments and a unique, unsettling main character. This book might not be for everybody, but boy, was it for me. If you are a person who likes stories like Fight Club and Clockwork Orange, or you like movies like Trainspotting, this is dark, it is raw, it is really in your face as far as the main character and a point of view. But for me, I just loved it. So some people might think it's a little too much. I did not. And I definitely gave it 5 stars. A Gilded Cage by Auburn, Tempest, and Michael Anderle is the first book in the Chronicles of the Urban Druid series. It follows Fiona, a spirited woman from a lively Irish family in Toronto who discovers she has hidden magical abilities and unknown relatives. As she navigates this new reality, Fiona must balance her everyday life with her emerging powers, leading to unexpected challenges and adventures. This was good, middle-of-the-road urban fantasy. I got this book because I had really liked the Iron Druid series by Kevin Hearn. And so I saw another urban druid book and I was like, well, let me test it out. It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything I'd be like, wow, I got to read the rest in the series. But maybe if I get low on books, I'll get around to it. If you like urban fantasy, I don't see an issue with putting this in your queue. I just wouldn't say to read this first. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson is a fantasy novel set in a world where the evil Lord Ruler has ruled for 1,000 years, keeping people oppressed under his control. The story follows Vin, a young street thief who discovers she has powerful magic called allomancy, which lets her gain abilities by ingesting and burning metals. She joins a group of rebels led by the charismatic Kelsier, who plan to overthrow the Lord Ruler. Packed with action, intrigue, and a unique magic system, Mistborn is a thrilling story about revolution, trust, and destiny. Mistborn is pretty much on everybody's must-read list if you want to get into Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. And I have to say, this book is very hyped. So many people hype it, and it came very, very close to meeting the hype. The ending is the part where it fell off. I felt the ending was a little bit phoned in, that they couldn't beat the bad guy, and then the writer just kind of gave in and said, I'll make something up so they can beat the bad guy. But it just didn't feel organic. But that was a small part, maybe a chapter, that I was just like, it kind of feels like they ran out of steam a little bit. But the characters are just incredible. The main character, Vin, is the person who makes the whole book. I mean, to me, Vin is almost as good a character as Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. She's just very layered, and when you start to read her, you think about her one way, and you just start to see the ideas as to how she's progressing and growing. That was really cool. I still think I'm going to give it 5 stars because everything about the book was so good, except maybe, like I said, the very ending just fell a little bit, I won't even say flat, it just felt a little phoned in. A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller is a retelling of the Greek myth of Achilles, told through the eyes of his closest companion, Patroclus. The story follows their deep bond from childhood to the Trojan War, where their love and fate are tested. As Achilles rises as a legendary warrior, Patroclus struggles with his own place beside him. With beautiful writing and deep emotion, the book explores love, destiny, and sacrifice in a heartbreaking yet powerful way. This was a tough one for me to rate. The story of Achilles and the writing and the world were fantastic, 5 star. The romance just did not work for me. I am a big fan of when people get together and they kind of both deserve each other. So they each have their thing, or they each have something about them that makes them special or attractive or smart or skilled. In this story, Achilles was the man. And he lived up to what Achilles was. And his story and the mythology, the way it was told, was all fantastic. His love interest, Patroclus, just was such, I don't know the way to put it, a loser. He wasn't handsome. He wasn't smart. He wasn't terribly skilled. He just was kind of like a groupie who just hung around Achilles, and all of Achilles' fame just shined onto him. When Achilles went someplace, he would go because he was with Achilles. I just kind of felt like, dude, why is Achilles with you? And because he brought so little to the table, it just kind of felt creepy. Like I said, like he was a groupie or a fanboy or something. So for me, the romance didn't work. I was also a little surprised. I didn't realize it was a dude romance. So I was reading a bromance the first couple chapters, and then it turned into a romance. And I was like, oh, but even then, like I said, the book's so well written, the story's so engrossing. I just, got right back into it. And there was a part where I was like, okay, they're each going to have their cool thing. And maybe he'll be an archer and he'll be a fighter and they'll be good at what they do. But throughout the book, Patroclus was just so nothing. I give this 3 stars. Mainly because for me, the romance dragged down a 5-star book to 3 stars. Viking's Dawn by Henry Treece follows the journey of a young Viking named Harold as he sets sail on his first voyage. Alongside his fellow warriors, he faces harsh seas, brutal battles, and the struggle to prove himself. As they raid new lands and encounter enemies, Harold learns the true cost of being a Viking. The story explores themes of bravery, survival, and the harsh realities of Viking life in a gripping historical-themed adventure. Looking at the cover of the book and the name of the book, you think it's going to be like this Conan-like daring do of Viking adventures. It is not. What it is basically the story of a Viking crew as they try to go on raids. And initially I was kind of turned off because it's not terribly exciting. It's really kind of almost like somebody writing a diary of what's going on. And there's a lot of mundanity in it. Actually, after a while, I started to get interested in the mundanity because it kind of seemed like this is the real life of a Viking trying to go on raids. The boring stuff, the moments of excitement, the different characters. It is not an incredibly well-written book. It's kind of good, solid, basic writing that tells what's going on. But I have to admit, I kind of got into it. I think if you are somebody who's into fantasy or you are into action, this probably isn't for you. If you're somebody who is into true war stories or somebody who's into history, then I think that you would like this a lot more. So for me, once I kind of got into it, I kind of started to like this tale of what was going on, looking back at the kind of like the real life of Viking raiders. It doesn't say it's historically accurate, but it just feels like this is the kind of stuff that they probably went through. So I'm going to give it 4 stars because I liked it. But like I said, if you're looking for fantasy or something like that, probably not your cup of tea. So to sum everything up, this is what I bought. And this is what I read and how many stars I gave everything. So this is O'Foy Murray, the digital reader, and keep reading.